Hey guys, welcome back, it's Meg. Today we are going to be doing a 27 Nalthor the Rimebinder in Necrotic Wake. So the biggest portion of this boss is making sure that you are, 1, not messing up earlier in the dungeon where you have to commit weapons that you don't want to commit. Normally for this guy we have 1 spear, 3 hammers, and 1 or 2 orbs, depending on how the necropolis ended up going for us. This boss is also a lot harder now that we do not have the Sagadon shields for every other-ish aegis, and that is where a majority of the damage is going to be coming from. So it's just something to be aware of, is that you are going to be taking more damage during pretty much the only damage in this fight. We also do not have the infinite mana that we got from Baruth last season, so we're going to make sure that we get here. Right there we went ahead and sent a spear through into Nalthor, which gives them both the buff, or debuff in this case. It ends up killing the relic just because it does a lot of damage and they don't have that much health, and then we also get the benefit of doing that damage to the boss as well. For this fight, you want to make sure that you are setting yourself up for AoE healing, so during that buff you want to make sure that you are getting as many renewing mists out as you can, just so that you can easily vivify cleave people up during the Aegis. A large portion of this fight is weapon and CD management. If you do not have a DPS up with you that has cooldowns, you are likely going to be sending a hammer or an orb, depending on if you ended up having to use them in the necropolis or not. Blood DK is thankfully very good at this fight. They can pretty much take care of themselves entirely with those icy shards. If you have a bear or a vengeance or anything like that, they are going to need a lot more attention because those do hit them pretty hard. You're probably not going to have to heal through any full Aegis until later in the fight, so you want to make sure that you are keeping your renewings up as much as you can, just so you're not caught off guard if someone is going to hammer and then they get sent down, or if someone's going to send cooldowns and then they get sent down and suddenly you don't have anything and you have to actually heal through the full thing. You want to make sure that you are prepared for that. This boss does end up being a little bit harder on our mana pool than we are used to, so you want to make sure that you are saving your Fallen Order and your Crane for the Aegises and the Comet Storms where you don't actually have damage cooldowns or anything like that. So we're almost 2 minutes into this fight, and that was my first Fallen Order, mainly because I wanted it for one of the shields where I didn't think that I was going to be able to 1, cast, or 2, get through quickly. I do also have Chi-Ji and Revival still. I like to use Revival towards the end where it's maybe the last shield or 2 and there's a couple of people that are maybe sitting lower during the Comet Storm where you're not actually able to cast. Chi-Ji is another one of those cooldowns where it's really easy to use on the move, so I recommend using that during Comet Storm as well, instead of just the normal Aegis. For this shield, because we got 5 stacks, I went ahead and used Chi-Ji as well as Diffuse because I wanted to take as little damage as I could, and we are getting kind of towards the end of the fight, sitting around 41%. I didn't want to not use it the entire fight. At this point, I am out of personal defensive. I've used my health pot. I do have Revival available, and because it is Quaking Week, I did end up using it there. I also interrupted my Essence Font with it so I didn't get silenced, because getting locked during the shields is actually very dangerous. It is possible to avoid being sent down through grip, lock gate, block, things like that, but I find that having people avoid going down and then just randomly dying when their debuff expires has always kind of gone wrong for us, so we typically don't do that. Prue ended up dying downstairs, so when he gets up we're going to B-res him. I sent my hammer there, and then I'm also going to use a Spiritual Clarity pot here. We've got a little bit of health left, we've got 30%. I'd like to be above 50% mana considering I have 0 cooldowns right now. I have no defensives, no healing cooldowns. Mana Tea just came up and all I have for myself is my health stone. I did let my mist drop a little bit here, but I went ahead and started to replace them. I also called for health pots or health stones depending on what everyone had here, but because we had damage, everyone was going to be breaking the shield relatively quickly, and we were able to live without any kind of maintenance from me. On this next Aegis, I have Diffuse coming up in about 5 seconds. I also have my health pot back. We're just going to go ahead and continue to keep our renewings up, and we're going to go ahead and also use Diffuse on this one. I do still have my shield. I don't end up using it. I don't really like using the shield just because it is not cancelable easily. Fallen Order goes there, and we're just going to continue the rest of the fight. We have broken the threshold now where he's not going to be sending anyone else down, so we should be totally fine on all of the shields given that we have all of our DPS with us the whole time. On this next shield I end up using Fort Brew. This is more of just like a laziness / precautionary thing. I didn't actually need it because the shield would be dying quickly, but Fallen Order was dropping off and I wanted to continue to be able to DPS here towards the end of the fight. The hardest part about this boss is not messing up the rest of the dungeon in regards to having to send weapons when you don't want to, and then also communication on who gets sent down, who has weapons, who has damage for the shields, and then also just managing defensives to make sure that you don't get too many stacks. I hope that this video was helpful, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.